The Doing the Orton podcast is brought to you by Vincent Ramos and SoCalProperties.net. Visit SoCalProperties.net for all your real estate needs. And by the Wrestling Guy store, where you can find the latest WWE Elite action figures.
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah, host of the Doing the Orton podcast, and I'm coming to you from the Wrestling Guy store. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode with my guest, Mike Camden. This episode was filmed before our Ground Zero show in Imperial Beach, California. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Now let's get into the podcast.
Be back and forth, like I was doing. But you're live now, so whatever.
Can you hold it, please?
I'll hold it.
I want to check down my wrist. Okay.
Huh?
Ready?
No, just speak up and we're good to go.
Okay. So, hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Doing the Orton podcast. And today I have a very special guest. It is Mike Camden.
Hello, Hannah. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for being a guest on my podcast today.
You're welcome. Anytime.
So let's get started. So, were you a fan of wrestling growing up?
Yes, I was. I was a big fan when I was younger. Bigger fan in high school during the Attitude Era. That's what really. That's way before your days. And wrestling was on fire when I was in high school. Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, NWO. I was basically the kid growing up that liked wrestling and nobody else really liked it. And then when I hit high school and wrestling became cool, all you saw was NWO shirts. Your father knows.
That's
And
exactly
and then all of a sudden, you know, wrestling was cool, and so yes.
Okay, so who were you a fan of?
I was a big fan of Stone Cold Steve Austin. In high school, that was my guy. When I was younger, I was a real big fan of Junkyard Dog. So yeah.
Okay, so do you have any favorite matches to watch?
I'm not really that much of an encyclopedia of wrestling. I don't remember matches too much. I remember moments, and I think that's what a lot of people remember is certain moments. There's matches that I've loved, that I've watched time and time again, but I can't exactly tell you if there was a match that sticks out to me as my favorite match of all time. Just certain moments.
Okay, so what made you want to become a professional wrestler?
It was a goal of mine, and I started a little bit older, and there's a certain time where you go, okay, I have to do this now or it's probably never going to happen. This is a very tough business as far as physically. It really beats up on your body, and unfortunately there's a certain age where your body says no más. That's Spanish for no more, I believe, right? And so I said I got to do this now before my body cuts out on me.
Okay, so where did you first start training?
I trained at SoCal Pro down here in San Diego. I trained under Tommy Wilson, SoCal Crazy, and a tag team named Anchors Away. And then I've also trained. Ricky Mandel has come in and trained. And other little Cholo would come in and do little seminars or little training seminars with us, and other just kind of random trainers that would be brought in for a week or two. Another guy named from Mexico named Pandalero, right? Am I saying that right? Pandalero, the gangster. He would come in and do lucha training, and he was incredible. So.
Okay, so how long have you been a professional wrestler?
I started back in 2013, June of 2013. So, quick math. Almost 5 years. Almost 5 years now, yeah.
Okay, so do you have a favorite opponent?
I have a lot of, you have certain opponents that you have chemistry with. Ricky Mandel was one of my first guys that I really enjoyed working with. Since I've branched out, there's another guy named Albert Reiner out in Arizona that I had really good matches with. I just recently had the pleasure of wrestling Matt Stryker up at WCWC in Portland, Oregon. So Tommy Wilson was also a really good opponent. I always had fun wrestling him. I'm sure there's other guys that I'm forgetting to mention right now, and they're going to be mad at me because I didn't mention their name. But those are some of this right off the top of the head, yeah.
Okay, so who was your first opponent?
My first match was a Rumble. It was the SoCal Pro Rumble. We have it every October down in over in Oceanside. So that was my first introduction to the crowd. My first match, I tagged with Jacob Diaz, the super vegan, but back then I think he was known as Marcus Riot. You'd have to check because I've heard he's had a bunch of different names. And we had a tag match against Anchors Away.
Oh, okay. So how did that match go?
It went really well. I had a fantastic time. A lot of my friends and family showed up to watch it, and it was a really good time.
Okay, so do you have a dream opponent?
Dream opponent? Well, there's a few people that I would love to wrestle. There's a guy named Bobby Quantz who used to be a wrestler, and then he left to go be a Navy SEAL. But he still comes by SoCal Pro every once in a while and helps us train, and he is fantastic. He hasn't had a match in over 10 years, but he is still one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen in the ring. So he would be one of them. There's a lot of, Stone Cold Steve Austin, obviously I would love to have a match with him. So, dream matches are kind of strange, I guess you could say. The more realistic one is Bobby Quantz, and I don't know how that's going to go, but we'll see what we can do.
Okay, so could you name some of the promotions that you have worked for?
Yeah, I've wrestled for SoCal Pro, EWF, Empire Wrestling Federation, West Coast Wrestling Connection up in Portland, Arizona Wrestling Federation out in Phoenix, PHX Wrestling out in Phoenix, Party Hard Wrestling out in Phoenix, Future Stars of Wrestling up in over in Las Vegas, Alternative Wrestling Show, AWS. I'm sure you're familiar with it, right? I'm sure there's Baja Stars down here in San Diego, like a Lucha show. So, yeah, that's just a few of them that I can remember off the top of my head.
Okay, so do you have any upcoming wrestling shows?
At the end of the month, I will be out in Phoenix for Arizona Wrestling Federation. That is on the 24th, I believe, of February. And then on March 2nd and 3rd, I'll be up at West Coast Wrestling Connection up in Portland. And then, yeah, that's off the top of the head right now that I can remember.
And we also have Ground Zero Phase 2 here.
Tonight, yes, we are at Ground Zero Phase 2, and I am going up against, do you know who I'm going up against?
Ray Rosas.
What's his nickname?
The Corrupt Mastermind.
The what?
The Corrupt Mastermind.
No.
That's the hate thing.
Sorry. Okay.
King of Beards.
Oh yeah, King of Beards.
Exactly. And who am I?
Aren't you the King of Beards?
No. I'm the champion of beards.
The champion.
Yeah, he thinks he's the king. I know I'm the champion.
You're the champion,
Yeah.
okay.
Have you seen him? His beard is weak, right? It's like barely even a goatee. This is a solid beard right here, right? This is something that you don't see a lot of. So we having a match tonight. We're gonna settle this. We're gonna find out who's the king and who's the champion. You looking forward to it?
Yes, I'm excited. Yeah.
Excellent. I'm glad to see that you're doing this. How did you get into this?
So it kind of started off as me and my dad doing a podcast off of WWE pay-per-views.
Yeah.
And then I had my first podcast with Melina at Long Beach Comic Con.
Very cool.
And then it kind of just went into interviewing professional wrestlers.
So you're a big fan of wrestling?
Yes.
Who's your favorite?
I would-
One name. That's all you need.
It depends.
Who do you like right now?
There's so many.
See how I'm flipping the script on you?
Yeah.
Now I'm hitting you with questions, and you got to think about this real quick.
There's so many.
Do you like? Okay, is there a local wrestler in Southern California that you like a lot? Don't feel it. You can break my heart and not say it's. You say somebody else's name besides me. That's fine.
There's so many.
How about a group of wrestlers?
Maybe a group. There's a group.
Okay, I like hate.
Oh. So you're rooting against me tonight? That's okay. That's all right. I'm just gonna have to prove you wrong.
Okay.
All right. All right. I'm done with my questions on you.
Okay, so we've kind of reached the end of the podcast. Okay, so thank you for being a guest on my podcast today.
I appreciate you having me. Really. Let's do this again too.
Oh, yeah. Okay, and is there any way people can follow you on your social media?
Yeah. Twitter, I'm at Mike Camden 82. And then Instagram, I'm Mike_Camden. And then Facebook is just Mike Camden, I guess, right? Is that how it works? You just say your name, yeah.
I don't have Facebook.
Look for the guy who looks like a wrestler. If you type in Mike Camden and you see a picture of a guy that looks like a wrestler, that's me. I don't really know how to say Facebook stuff. So.
Okay, so like I said, thank you for being a guest on my podcast today.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it, okay?
Okay.
And you have fun at the show tonight.
Alright.
Who else are you interviewing?
You're actually my third interview of the day.
Okay.
So first I interviewed Kevin Cross,
Okay.
and then Aerial Instinct, and then you're my third.
Am I the last?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you saved the best for last, right? All right, I appreciate it. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.